prior to after, obviously. But now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
And shit, it was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny, because damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling for one, where the sport of boxing is when a world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao.
Yes, Manny, you can come out of retirement because this guy is so bad. Like, that fired him up a little bit, and then he goes in the ring and he does nothing. He goes in the ring and, like, I thought it was an embarrassing performance from a 30-year-old champion.
Fighters are genuinely terrified of Manny Pacquiao's comeback because even at 46, he moves like he's still in his prime. Sean Porter witnessed Manny's training and performance against Barrios, and he confidently said Pacquiao is still him. Despite his age, Manny's speed, footwork, and intensity remain sharp. Opponents fear that the legendary version of Pacquiao hasn't faded, and that he's still capable of dominating top-tier fighters today.
What do you think about the overall matchup?
Everything, man. I watched him train like last week or the week before, and amazing to see him still move and bounce and do all the same things that he was doing in camp years ago when I was with him. So he's still locked in. He's still him, Crazy, but he is. You know what they say, man. The last thing to go is that power.
Chris Algieri, who once stepped into the ring with Pacquiao during the prime of both their careers, offers a rare and respected perspective. According to Algieri, there's something extraordinary about Manny that transcends time. While most fighters decline with age, Pacquiao remains a puzzle that even younger, fresher opponents struggle to solve. Algieri describes him as one of the hardest fighters to prepare for: unpredictable, fast, explosive, and relentless. He emphasizes that age is irrelevant when it comes to Manny's capabilities. Pacquiao possesses a kind of physical and mental edge that training camps can't replicate or anticipate. For Algieri, Pacquiao's comeback isn't just possible, it's dangerous for anyone standing across from him.
Prior to after, obviously. But now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
In his fight against Mario Barrios, Pacquiao shocked audiences with how much of his trademark style remained intact. At 46, the expectation was a faded legend trying to recreate old magic. Instead, fans saw blistering footwork, fast combinations, and clever angles. Everything that once made Pacquiao a feared champion. What stood out most was the closeness of the rounds. Even the ones he didn't win on the scorecards were fiercely competitive. His timing, ring generalship, and stamina all held up impressively. While Barrios was expected to dominate due to youth, he often found himself reacting rather than controlling. It was clear Pacquiao was not just participating, he was still competing at a high level.
I think Manny's always been good at that. And my son really pointed it out perfectly. He was still good at it. He was still good at it. I think he was stealing some rounds at the end. Whether he deserved them or he didn't deserve them, whatever. They were close rounds. He might have stole them on the judges' cards. What we shouldn't forget is he's a special guy, and he put a special performance. I never saw calves on the legs of somebody that big. I mean, it's incredible. I thought early on he stumbled a little bit. I thought his legs were stumbling a little bit, like you might see in a 46-year-old, a little bit. But at the end, they got the act together. He used them pretty good. He used them pretty damn good. What I think he also did was maybe a little bit of, I think the word illusion is too powerful, but I'd say a little misleading, where he threw those real fast punches like my son said. They weren't quality punches like they used to be, where there was real impact and real power at the end of them. They were more like just quick punches, and they weren't all being impactful. They weren't all landing clean. Some did, but they weren't all landing clean, and they definitely weren't landing with real power. They really weren't.
Social media personality and fighter Salt Papi joined the conversation with a bold take on a potential rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. According to him, Manny's current form shows he's still active, conditioned, and mentally in the game. Unlike Mayweather, who has spent years away from real competition, Salt Papi believes that if the two legends were to meet again, the outcome would be dramatically different from their 2015 encounter. This time, Manny's rhythm, activity, and hunger would overpower Mayweather's aging reflexes. While Mayweather has kept his record intact with exhibitions, Salt Poppy believes Pacquiao's true return to form makes him the more dangerous of the two today.
Have you spoken to Manny recently? I know you're friends with him.
No, I haven't spoken to him, no.
What would you want to see him do next?
Fight Floyd Mayweather or Gervonta Tank.
You think he beats Tank, a near prime Tank Davis?
No, we'll see. Like, styles make fights, so we just don't know.
What about Mayweather versus Pacquiao too?
Yeah, that'll be a good fight. Yeah, like Manny is still active. So.
Okay.
Pacquiao's performance against Barrios was a reminder of why he's a generational talent. Every time Barrios tried to engage, Manny responded with 2 or 3 lightning-fast punches. His output energy and footwork stood in stark contrast to Barrios' cautious and often reactive style. What impressed fans and critics alike was how youthful Pacquiao's movements still appeared. His legs were constantly moving, cutting angles and creating opportunities. Many observers questioned the official result, pointing out that Manny's aggression and volume far outweighed Barrios' sparse counters. It wasn't just that Pacquiao looked good for his age. He looked like he still belonged at the top.
That's not what happened. Barrios was so tentative in this fight. He was essentially standing there for some of the exchanges. Manny Pacquiao came out and did what Manny Pacquiao does. By the way, credit to Manny. At 46, he still had some feet. He was moving, dancing on Mario Barrios. He was throwing combination punches going forward on Mario Barrios. And when he wasn't doing that, he was countering Mario Barrios, who looked like a stick in the mud. He looked like he couldn't even get out of first gear because Manny was hitting with combinations. Were they hurting super bad? Maybe not. Some of them definitely were. Had a mouse under the eye of Mario Barrios, but others were just flurries, and they were keeping Barrios at bay. And when Barrios was throwing 1, Pacquiao was throwing 3. When Barrios would throw out his jab, Manny would counter with his lead right hand, stepping on the inside plane, doing all the old Manny shit. It was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny, because damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling, for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao, but 2, just how great he was. 8 division world champion, started his career at 106, I think, comes up to 147. What are we talking about?
Skeptics have questioned Manny's motives for returning, suggesting that financial incentives might be the main driver, given his legendary status and achievements. He has nothing left to prove. As a Hall of Fame world champion in 8 divisions and a global icon, Manny could comfortably remain retired. Yet, the fact that he chooses to come back raises eyebrows. Critics argue that the risks outweigh the rewards of his age, especially when the physical toll of boxing only increases with time. They believe that no amount of pride or legacy building justifies stepping into the ring again, unless there's a big payday involved.
Manny Pacquiao crazy for coming back and fighting is because they don't understand what's going on in Manny Pacquiao's life. When a fighter is 46 years old, he doesn't just come back to fight a top fighter because he just wants to fight a top fighter. When he's going through that, that's what brought him to that place in the first place. And that is having what we call bandwidth extension. He's totally scattered his brain and lost so much money over the course of time. And the same thing that happens when you get a paycheck and you start spending, and because you get shiny object syndrome, you want to get the new watch, you want to get the new gear, you want to eat at the restaurant, you want to go spend money. That's shiny object syndrome. And you can't get it under control the same way that Manny Pacquiao did. He couldn't get things under control. So therein lies the situation where all of that money that he's made, hundreds of millions of dollars, just burnt. And now you gotta fight. But if you really stop focusing on the symptom and start concentrating on the root of this thing, and the root of this thing is bandwidth, shiny object syndrome, trying to be so relevant in so many different scenarios. You wanna train, you wanna run this other business, you wanna do this, you got this great idea. And it all boils down to the term that I use all the time, and that's compensatory control, laser focus. Get one idea, follow through with that idea. You got to have a plan in order to do it. And that's how you get to from here to here. That's when you're 46, you don't have to fight anymore. And that is my message today. Just understand why you're scattered, understand why you can't get anything going all the way through. You can never finish that thought process and execute the plan, and therefore you continue to find yourself in a situation where you're desperate. You're trying to find a way to get back to where you were, which is even. But if you stay locked in and concentrate on the compensatory control factor of your life, which is doing everything that you think of every single day the exact same way, and I take 1 minute and go to that playlist.
However, Pacquiao has consistently refuted claims that money is his motivation. Over the years, he has built a reputation not just as a fighter, but as a generous humanitarian. From funding hospitals to supporting disaster relief in the Philippines, Manny has never been shy about sharing his wealth. He often reminds the media that he fights for his people, not his pockets. His return, he says, is about passion, legacy, and inspiration. Manny wants to show the world that age is just a number if the heart remains strong. For him, it's about proving to himself and others that greatness doesn't expire. With the Barrios fight behind him, speculation about Pacquiao's next opponent has taken over boxing headlines.
When I became a world champion, then I realized that this is the time that I can help my family. Before that, we don't have food to eat in one day. We just drink a lot of water to survive. And I remember one time, my young brother is 5 years old back then, and he was crying like in the afternoon, 1:30 in the afternoon. He's crying because he's hungry. He's asking for food. We don't eat breakfast. We don't eat lunch. He don't understand what is. When you're telling him no money, we have no money to buy food, and he's crying like, "Mom, I'm hungry." Like he's crying. And then I look to my mom and look at his eyes, and the tear flow in his eyes, and then I feel so sad and like. Of course, I'm crying also because hungry. We drink water just to survive. That's our past, so that's why I always told them that, Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao, but I don't have the right to become arrogant, to become boastful. I want to stay humble because we've been there. We came from nothing.
Rolando Romero has emerged as a frontrunner, especially after training footage surfaced suggesting he's already preparing for challenge. His camp has shown enthusiasm about the matchup, and Romero has publicly stated he'd be honored to share the ring with a legend like Manny. Meanwhile, names like Gervonta Davis have also floated around, though the likelihood of that fight remains uncertain due to promotional conflicts and timing.
No. Tira los golpes largos, men. Porque si da paso ya te pega mucho. No, quédate atrás, men. No te cuidas. Ahí, quédate ahí parado ahí donde tú estabas.
Boxing Doctor News, Manny Pacquiao's next potential opponent is Rolly Romero, the WBA welterweight champ. Romero is under the same promotion, has the belt, and can sell a fight. He's eager to face Pacquiao, saying, "A Hall of Famer on my resume. Who wouldn't want that?" After Pacquiao's draw with Barrios, his advisor sees Romero as the favorite for Manny's next bout. Romero has knockout power and isn't afraid to bring the heat. Is this the explosive matchup fans have been waiting for?
Some fans continue to push for a rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, clinging to belief that Floyd would win again. What they overlook is that Mayweather is not only older than Pacquiao, but also far less active. He hasn't fought a serious opponent in years and is focused on exhibitions that offer low risk and high reward. Facing a rejuvenated Pacquiao now wouldn't be the same as in 2015. Floyd already got the version of Manny recovering from a shoulder injury and coming off a different rhythm. This time, he'd be facing Pacquiao with speed, purpose, and nothing to lose, a matchup Mayweather would likely avoid.
And we will see what transpires, but all these people out here saying that the fight was fixed, a lot of these people were not fans of Manny Pacquiao. When that whole Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao situation was going on with the steroids allegation, the needles, and the back and forth between the Pac-Tars, as they called them back in the day, and the Mayweather fans. A lot of those fans still hold grudges towards Manny Pacquiao. I guarantee if that was Mayweather that was fighting Mario Barrios coming into that fight after a long layoff, all the people would have said Mayweather had a chance, Mayweather gonna win, become champion once again. Mayweather's levels above Mario Barrios even at that age. And Mayweather's actually older than Pacquiao. But those same people wasn't giving Pacquiao no chance to defeat an average fighter in Mario Barrios. And that's what I base my pick on, that Mario Barrios is average. Some people that's Tank Davis fans, they want to blow up Mario Barrios into something that he really ain't. Because really before the Tank fight, we talking about Mario Barrios right now. Before the Tank fight, he took on a guy by the name of Ahmad Daliev. He lost that fight. And he took a beating from that fight. And Mario Barrios really ain't never been the same from that fight. Go back and watch that fight. That was the fight before the Tank fight. Now a lot of people say, well, he was looking good in the Tank fight. He was winning early in the Tank fight. That was a fact of Tank going up in weight, fighting a much bigger guy on fight night. Look at the difference in size. Not only we ain't just looking at the height, but he was just a much bigger guy.
Respected boxing analysts have echoed the sentiment that Pacquiao did more than enough to deserve a win. Against Barrios, he was the clear aggressor, pushing the pace and keeping the action flowing. In contrast, Barrios appeared passive for much of the fight, often circling or standing still, failing to impose any significant offense. Analysts reviewing the fight frame by frame pointed out multiple rounds that were gifted to Barrios despite his low activity. Pacquiao's ring generalship, volume punching, and control over the tempo of the fight painted a different picture than the final scorecards. To them, Manny's comeback was not only impressive, it was potentially victorious.
With the draw?
No.
Because,
weird rounds, hard to score.
Yeah, Pacquiao did better than I thought he did. And that's we get into that weird territory in boxing where you're so grading on a curve. That's not how boxing works. And I was like, oh, Pacquiao's doing better. He's probably winning. Oh, he won. But no, he probably didn't. And a draw he's probably lucky to get a draw.
Yeah, as I was watching it and scoring it, and I was in the live chat with people, and there was just so many rabid Pacquiao fans that were like, every time he did anything, first of all, anytime he did anything in the arena, the place went absolutely bonkers. Like it was going to tear down. He probably fought 50 to 60 seconds a round. He did not do much. He didn't need to, because Barrios didn't step on the gas pedal at all at any point. He was so listless and just kind of like ho-humming through it. So Pacquiao was able to steal moments, and he did a really good job of stealing the end of rounds and making an exclamation point. And also, we saw flashes of the Manny of old when he would have that little like the flourishing signature in the end of something. He'd make that little movement, bang, he'd pop that left hand, he'd fly out, boom, 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 boom. He'd make those little moves, he'd do the fancy feet, and you would be like, oh, but really nothing happened. He didn't land a lot of punches. Like, it wasn't like anything really effective. But it got everybody emotional, it got everybody, and whereas Barrios was the exact opposite. Everything he did was so workmanlike. He has zero charisma, he has no sell on anything he does. He just lacked passion. I know he's Aztec warrior, but where was the passion? Where was the exchanging? Where was the biting down on my mouthpiece and going for it? So there was a lot of opportunities based on how both guys fought for Manny to actually steal rounds, because Mario wasn't selling it. Pacquiao was. The crowd was behind him. But yes, when you do it, you're looking at it almost like you're almost comparing Pacquiao to Pacquiao. You're being like, oh, he fought really good for a 46-year-old. He didn't fight really good for a 12-round main event champion. He fought really good for a 46-year-old Pacquiao. So you get that idea in your head, like, oh man, he's doing so good, but is he really? Or are you just voting for the guy that you like better?
Like, nostalgia's a hell of a and we were all high on Saturday night.
What struck many fans and critics the most was a conviction of which Pacquiao approached the fight. There was no hesitation, no sign of doubt, just pure belief in his craft. He moved with intent, fired punches with confidence, and managed distance like a seasoned technician. At no point did he look like someone clinging to old glories. Instead, he appeared to be fighting with a purpose, as if he still had more to prove. Unfortunately, that performance wasn't fully reflected in the scorecards. While he earned the crowd's respect, the judges failed to reward what was clearly a competitive and valiant return to the ring.
The most surprising result from last night was 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao going 12 rounds and drawing against the WBC champion. And the craziest part of all of it might be that Manny Pacquiao might have been robbed. I generally think that Manny Pacquiao might have won the fight. He looked great, he looked sharp, especially for being a 46-year-old. And this is why I told you guys that Manny Pacquiao's mentality is different. His passion for boxing is unmatched. This is why he's one of the GOATs. From what we saw, we can see that he really put in a lot of work, because in his last fight, I believe it was 5 years ago, he didn't look good. He looked slow. He looked like a 46-year-old, or a 40-year-old, because he was 40 years old back then. But he didn't look good, but he looked great. I feel if the rematch happens against Mayweather, which would honestly be an amazing fight, because they're both old now, so they don't have any excuse of being like, oh, this guy's past his prime. They're both past their prime. They're both old. But if it happens, I think Manny Pacquiao wins. Floyd Mayweather hasn't fought, and he doesn't have the same amount of passion. He fought Logan Paul and Deji, but this guy fought an actual WBC champion and looked great and could have possibly beat him. He said he's not going to stop boxing, and he honestly has no reason why to stop. Now, obviously, I don't think he's like a top 10 boxer right now, or like currently whatever, but he can hold his own. If he went against someone like Gervonta Davis, yes, he'd get murdered, but there's a lot of fighters that he can go toe-to-toe with right now. I don't know, though. Fall Sport content, we're about to hit 1,000.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next time,